If you're bored of endlessly scouring through lists of games trying to find one that excites you, then look no further because I've picked out the 5 best upcoming survival craft games of 2022 to 2023. First up, we have Sons of the Forest, developed by Enen Games. In Sons of the Forest, you'll be sent to a remote island to find a missing billionaire. However, you'll soon realise that the island is inhabited by cannibals. You'll have to craft weapons and build bases as you struggle to survive against advanced AI capable of understanding your actions and responding accordingly. Sons of the Forest is of course the sequel game to The Forest, and although you will be playing as a different character, the game boasts the same survival horror experience we've grown to love and expect from the original. So if you like the original game, you'll definitely enjoy this one. Something I'm looking forward to is the introduction of changing seasons as time progresses, as this will completely change how you play the game. In winter, for example, you'll have a much harder time finding food and staying warm, so you might have to prepare ahead of time for the colder months. But what I find really interesting is that the action of the AIs will also change depending on the time of year, meaning you might find yourself in some unfamiliar situations as the AI adapts to the season. Sons of the Forest is scheduled for release in October 2022, so if you haven't yet played The Forest, now's the time to do so. Next up we have Occupy Mars, the game developed by Pyramid Games. It should come as no surprise that in Occupy Mars your main goal will be to occupy Mars. In order to survive, you'll be expected to build your own base, grow your own crops, explore new regions for valuable materials, and almost everything in between. The game is inspired by real world technologies and companies working towards multiplanetary life, and the developers are aiming to translate this into the game. Occupy Mars reminds me of games like Astroneer and Planet Crafter, but strikes me as having a much higher attention to detail. For example, the developers talk about minor activities like learning the basics of soldering to repair your equipment, changing hydraulics, operating robotic arms, and learning to cope with rapid unscheduled assembly before running out of air. There's no doubt that this game is ambitious, but with a huge amount of positive and constructive feedback from the prologue they released in 2020, the developers really have everything they need to make Occupy Mars a great game from day one of release. The release date hasn't yet been announced, but it is scheduled for release somewhere between August and December 2022, so if you like the idea of living on another planet, keep your eyes peeled for its release. The next game on my list is Palworld, developed by Pocket Pair. In Palworld, you'll live in a world where mysterious creatures called pals live. It has been called Pokemon with guns, but I do think that's a little bit unfair. Palworld offers a completely unique way to utilise your creatures and be the kind of tamer that you want to be. You'll be able to use your pals to fight alongside you, help build structures, automate production, or even just eat them as a food source. On top of all this, there's going to be a complex breeding system that will allow you to combine PAL characteristics in order to create a unique array of creatures. If that wasn't enough, the game also has a poaching dynamic where gangs will target your pals and attempt to steal them. You can try and fight them off, but if you're unsuccessful, your pals will be stolen, never to be seen again. But to me, that's not even the most interesting part. The game also hints at pals that are forbidden to be captured as if they're rare or legendary. This has got me wondering if the game's emphasis on freedom of choice extends to letting us capture them anyway. Can we breed them, eat them? Who knows? Graphically, this game reminds me of Genshin Impact, so if you're a big fan of bright and colourful aesthetics like I am, then I'm sure you're already a big fan of this game. Palworld is now scheduled for release in 2023, so if you're as intrigued as the rest of us, make sure and add it to your wishlist. Next up we have Retreat to Enen, developed by Head West. Now Retreat to Enen is a completely different take on survival craft games. Set in a world where centuries of war and socio-economic strife has landed humans on the verge of extinction, humans have turned their back on war and are now focused on healing, peace and reverence for the ecosystem they're part of. Throughout the game you'll have to explore the land for meditation spots whilst learning to become one with nature. Only those who truly accomplish this will be granted passage into Enen. What's so interesting about this game is the whole idea of mindful survival, where you will spend the days foraging, hunting and collecting supplies in order to build yourself a peaceful life. The developers have even worked alongside mental health specialists to create content about mindfulness and relaxation techniques that can be applied beyond the game itself. This game has a huge focus on exploration, and for that reason reminds me a little of Valheim. So if you enjoyed the exploration of Valheim as much as I did, then be sure not to miss out on this. Retreat to Enen is scheduled for release in August 2022, so depending on when you're watching this video, it may already be released. Last but not least, we have Nightingale, developed by Inflection Games. In Nightingale, you're stranded beyond your world, cut off by the collapse of the Arcane Portal network. You'll need to become a skilled realm walker and navigate the web of transdimensional portals to discover the way to the magical city of Nightingale. Honestly, I don't even know what that means, but one look at the trailer had me absolutely hooked. The enemies look insane, the whole world just looks clean and refreshing, the building features look great, and you'll even be able to recruit NPCs to undertake your more tiresome tasks, which I think is a great idea for this kind of survival craft game, especially towards endgame. Speaking of endgame, the developers even hint at a raid-like event in which you will join other players against colossal apex creatures in the deepest reaches of the realms, which is a completely new idea to me in a survival craft, but one that I'm incredibly excited for. Nightingale is scheduled for release somewhere between October and December 2022, so there's still plenty of time to add it to your wishlist and make sure that you don't miss out on its release. Anyway, that's all for this video, so please do let me know what game you're most excited for in the comment section below. If you liked the video, please do leave it a like, and if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. That's all for now, and thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.